Welcome back to the Book in Minutes.
Today, we're really getting into a specific chapter from a pretty influential source text.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal, our mission, if you like, is simple. We want to pull out the absolute core ideas.
Get right to the heart of it, yeah.
Yeah,
Like the key takeaways that, can actually make you think differently about things.
exactly. The stuff that really sticks without needing to read every single page yourself.
And the central idea here is, well, it's about the difference between what you do for a living, your job, and what your actual business should be.
Right. Where should your focus really be for, like, long-term financial well-being?
It kicks off with this fantastic story about Ray Kroc, the McDonald's guy.
Oh, yeah, this is a classic. He's talking to some MBA students back in '74, right? Casual setting, having beers.
Yeah, exactly. And he just asked them, what business am I in?
And you can just imagine them, right? Probably thinking, okay, easy question, hamburgers, obviously.
Totally. Thinking it's maybe a bit of a trick question, but the answer seems so clear.
But Kroc just smiles and says, basically, nope, you're wrong.
He tells them, my business isn't hamburgers, my business is real estate.
Boom. And that just lands, right? It's the first big, mind shift the source gives us.
Because he wasn't wrong, was he? I mean, McDonald's sold billions of burgers, sure, but the real foundation, the enduring wealth that was built on owning the land.
The physical locations, the corners where those arches stood.
Mm-hmm. They became this huge global real estate owner because Kroc saw past the day-to-day operation. He understood the underlying business was acquiring those assets.
It really flips the script. The source even mentions a friend with car washes who has the same mindset. The car washes are the operation, but the business is owning the land underneath them.
It immediately makes you question, doesn't it? What you do day to day versus where the real value is being built.
Which brings us squarely into this core confusion the material talks about.
Yeah, let's unpack that because this is where a lot of people seem to get stuck.
For their whole careers, often. The source points out, pretty directly, that most of us spend decades working really hard, but mainly for other people.
Right. You work for your boss, the company owners.
You work for the government, got to pay those taxes.
Yep. And you work for the bank, paying off the mortgage or other loans.
And the result, often, is that after, 40, 50 years of effort, there might not be much tangible value built up for yourself, not enough assets generating their own income.
And the education system plays a role here, doesn't it? It's great for skills, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's mostly designed to train people for jobs, to be employees.
Exactly. It teaches you how to earn a wage, how to climb the ladder, how to basically be good at filling a slot in someone else's business. Focuses on the income column.
So you become, say, a banker or a teacher or a programmer. That's your identity.
But it's tied to your profession, not necessarily to owning the underlying business or building your own assets. Your job provides income, but it isn't your business in this sense.
And the source argues that if your only strategy is just making more money from that job, getting a raise, going back to school for a promotion, working tons of overtime.
That alone isn't enough for real financial security.
Right. Unless that extra income is specifically and systematically used to buy things that generate more income. Assets.
Otherwise, it's just, more money flowing through your hands, off and out again on expenses and liabilities.
So the trap is mixing up your job with your real financial business.
Okay, so if that's the confusion, what's the solution? What does the source say we should be doing?
This leads to the second big idea, minding your actual business.
And what does that mean, according to this material?
It's laser focused on one thing, building up your asset column, systematically. Deliberately.
So it's less about the paycheck size itself and more about what you do with the money after you get paid.
Precisely. And the absolute bedrock rule here, the one they keep coming back to, is knowing the difference between an asset and a liability. It sounds simple, but it's crucial.
Refresh us on the definitions they use.
Sure. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Simple as that.
And the core instruction is?
Buy assets. Focus your financial energy on acquiring things that generate income or appreciate in value.
This really goes against the grain of common thinking, though, doesn't it? The source takes aim at things people usually call assets.
Oh, definitely. Your house, for example. Everyone thinks of it as their biggest asset.
But is it? The source argues it's often your biggest liability. You've got mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, upkeep, repairs. It's constantly taking money out.
Unless maybe you're renting out rooms or something. But for most people, their primary residence is a cash drain, not a cash generator.
Cars, too. Right. Another classic example.
Huge liability. Loses value the second you drive it off the lot. Cost money for fuel, insurance, maintenance.
Yeah.
Constantly taking money out.
The source mentions how during tough economic times, people suddenly realized that these things weren't assets helping them stay afloat.
There were liabilities dragging them down faster. Even, expensive personal items, golf clubs, fancy suits, electronics, they cost money and lose value. They don't tell you.
And they're pretty critical of the standard net worth calculation, too.
Yeah, the way people list all their personal belongings on a loan application to make their net worth look bigger.
Like your furniture or your TV collection adds to your financial strength.
But the reality check is, if you actually needed cash and tried to sell that stuff...
You'd get pennies on the dollar, most likely.
Exactly. And plus, if you sell something that has gone up in value, like maybe some stocks or collectibles, you then owe taxes on the gain, which reduces the actual cash you get.
So that paper net worth, it's worth less than you think when you actually need it. It's not liquid, reliable wealth.
The big point here is that just earning a lot isn't the answer if it all goes into liabilities or things that lose value. The path forward is building a base of real assets, things that work for you.
Okay, so what qualifies as a real asset then, according to this framework?
The source lays out several categories. First, businesses you own but don't have to physically run yourself.
Key distinction there. If you have to be there, it's basically another job, right?
Right. It needs to generate income without requiring your constant presence. Then you got stocks.
Okay, shares in companies.
Bonds.
Yeah.
Income-generating real estate. So rental properties, not your own home.
Properties that pay you rent. Makes sense.
Notes, which are basically IOUs. You lend money, someone pays you back with interest.
Like being the bank.
Sort of, yeah. Royalties from intellectual property are another one, like music, patents, books.
Stuff that keeps paying you after the initial creation.
And then it's kind of a catch-all.
Right.
Anything else that has value, produces income, appreciates, and crucially, has a ready market if you needed to sell it.
There's also a neat point about investing in things you actually like or understand well, isn't there?
Yes. The author mentions their own preference for real estate and certain kinds of stocks, like small startups. The idea is, if you're genuinely interested in the asset...
You'll probably take better care of it, understand it better.
Exactly. You're motivated to learn, to manage it well, to navigate problems. It reduces risk because you're engaged, not just passively holding something you don't get. They even contrast their strategy, like trading up real estate long-term versus maybe shorter-term stock plays.
That makes intuitive sense. Invest in what you know and care about.
And the ultimate goal, the picture they paint, is building this army of money employees.
I like that phrase.
Yeah. Every dollar you put into your asset column is like hiring an employee. It works for you 24/7, doesn't complain, doesn't take vacations.
And potentially works for your kids and grandkids, too.
Right. The whole focus shifts from you working hard for money to getting your money working hard for you.
And this perspective completely changes how you approach luxuries, doesn't it?
Fundamentally.
Yeah.
The source is clear. Financially successful people, the ones who build real wealth, they buy luxuries last. They build up their asset column first. They buy the stocks, the rental properties, the business. Then it's the income flowing from those assets that pays for the fancy car, the big house, the expensive vacation.
The asset buys the luxury, not your paycheck. Like the example given, waiting until the rental properties generated enough cash flow to buy that dream car outright?
Precisely. Contrast that with the more common pattern, buying luxuries first, often on credit, using income from your job.
Which can lead straight into debt.
And stress. That nice car suddenly feels like a burden, maybe even causes resentment because the payments are tough. It traps people.
So boiling it all down, the practical advice seems to be, keep your day job, be good at it, earn that income.
Absolutely. That's your seed capital, your starting point.
But don't stop there. Understand that the real game is diligently, consistently using that income to build your asset column.
Keep expenses down, keep liabilities low, and channel the difference into things that will eventually pay you back, and then some.
And crucially, teach this stuff early. Give kids this framework before they get caught up in earning and spending cycles and accumulating liabilities.
It's a total mindset shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
From just being an earner to becoming a strategic owner and asset builder.
So let's bring this deep dive back to you listening right now. What's the core message here? It really seems to be about the power of minding your own business.
Your real financial business, yeah, which is building that asset column, separate from whatever job you do to earn income day to day.
And the source suggests implicitly maybe, that doing this well requires some financial literacy, right? I mean, you need to understand the basics.
Definitely. You need to grasp things like cash flow, basic accounting, how to evaluate an investment. That's how you choose good money employees.
That knowledge empowers you to build that foundation. And the source hints that building this solid base, this income stream from assets, well, it prepares you for what they call the biggest secret of the rich.
It's the prerequisite, the essential first step on that path.
hmm So, as we wrap up, maybe take a moment to think about your own situation. Where does most of your financial energy go?
Are you mainly focused on your income column, getting the next raise, working more hours, or are you actively, consciously cultivating your asset column?
Building that base of financial employees that works for you.
Think about those asset categories we mentioned: businesses, stocks, bonds, real estate, notes, royalties.
Could you identify maybe one small, concrete step you could take based on those ideas to start building or adding to your asset base? Even something tiny to begin with.
Imagine the difference over time. Shifting that focus, even just a little, from only earning towards strategically acquiring. What could that mean for your financial future, your freedom?
What does minding your actual business look like starting now? Something to think about.